Hi, I'm Jasmine Navarro, certified wellbeing expert, supporting educational institutions and companies with their family wellbeing challenges. And as you know, every week I interview different experts who make a difference. And today I'm super excited to be interviewing Amanda. Hi, Amanda. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's such an honour.
No, thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
So I'm a coach, and there is two different aspects to my business. So the first aspect is I predominantly work with women who generally have school-age children. So their kids have started school and they're feeling a bit lost and they're looking to find their purpose and kind of come back to finding them again. And then the second aspect of the business, which is kind of naturally transformed from this, is then women who are looking to start a business and want a bit of hand holding to grow through it. And that's from some of the e-commerce experience I had previously.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's amazing. And we'll definitely be digging into those, more on that. So you chose this title, which I absolutely love, Going Within for Answers. Can you tell us what that means and why you chose it for today?
So from over the last year, I've probably spoken to 100 women, and this is something that kind of keeps coming out. And I think we live in a world almost of toxic productivity. So especially in Dubai, where everything is go, 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 we never stop to take a break, which means that most of us don't trust ourselves. When we're getting inspired action, we're not sure whether or not it's intuition, ego, we just don't stop to listen. And actually, most people don't need to take huge actions in their life to change it to the way that they want. But actually, all of those answers are within.
Oh, wow. I love that. I love everything that you said. And so wait, there's so many things there. There's so many things I want to ask you. And I've just completely lost track of what I was going to say, Amanda. But so carry on. Sorry, I've lost track of what I was going to say. I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. And so I think that I've been on a huge journey over the last few years. And very much, whether or not it's been through coaches that I've had or the training that I've done, and then the coaching that I've done and the personal development. And I made a very conscious effort this summer when I decided to go traveling with my children to turn off the noise, which is the first time I've done that in probably about 3 years. So stop listening to podcasts, stop reading books, and just just being.
Actually, I remember what I was going to say now. Sorry. Actually, so you're absolutely right. So you're right. Dubai, we're so busy, aren't we? And I think, many countries we're so busy, but I didn't actually make that conscious connection of when you're so busy, you might not tap into your intuition because maybe you don't even have time, or you think you don't even have time to stop and listen to yourself.
No.
Is that what?
Yeah. And just most people, we almost wear the busyness like this badge rather than actually looking at rest as being so important for us and just going, actually, do you know what? If you slowed down, amazing things can actually happen. We don't need to always just be constantly 100 miles an hour.
Wow. Oh no, I love that. I love that. Well, they say rest is productive. Rest is productive. It's taken me a long time to realize that as well. And I still sometimes get caught up in, I've just got to do this before I have that rest. It can be quite a tough habit to break if you've been doing that for so long. How did you, so I guess, does the reason you do everything that you do, does it come from a personal experience?
Yeah, a lot of it does. And just, I'm learning to kind of live my life based on emotions and feelings and what feels right. And that just really trust myself and trust the process and just going, okay, so I'm historically the most impatient person. I want everything and I want everything now. And I want to give everything 110%. And then, I overwhelm myself but part of with the clients that I work with, going back to looking at why you're lost and why looking for that purpose, is starting to delve in with what's your why. And most people don't know, and you actually need to, as I say, all of those answers are within, but you need to stop in order for those answers to come out.
And how do you, so imagine, somebody, I'm sure there's so many people watching who are really busy and really stressed, and hopefully they've got time. And because some people think they haven't got time for anything yet, because we just get so caught up in doing things. But what would you say then is the first thing? So I know you said stop. Okay, so imagine we have 5 minutes, 10 minutes to just, okay, I'm going to stop.
Yeah, so just making that time for things like, so whether or not it is going for a walk, whether or not it is breath work or meditation, looking really like stripping it all back and going, okay, what helps me to relax for a start? And then what comes from that? And then what fills me with joy?
Okay.
And when you start to fill yourself with joy and just noticing the little things. So like, I'm a massive advocate for gratitude.
Oh, yeah.
When you start to practice gratitude, your whole world just seems amazing, because you realize exactly how much abundance you have rather than what is lacking.
Yes.
And, if you look at kind of energetically, when you're in a high vibrational state, more comes to you and it just comes naturally.
Wow. In ways you would never have expected and you couldn't plan.
No, exactly. And I think we like to control everything. And, there's so much about, to-do lists and, getting and hitting those goals. But without actually going, what do these goals really mean to me? And so like my children are massive, I learn from them every single day.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
that I have a 6-year-old who's highly emotional, and learning to, like with her, how to get her to express herself and communicate in a positive way, but actually recognizing those emotions, not trying to make her squash them down, and just learning what happens when you sit with an emotion and you ask the right questions, and then you're able to communicate what you need from it.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm totally with you. I think once you can start to acknowledge your emotions, regulate your emotions, acknowledge them, get the message from them, it's a massive, massive game changer, life changer, isn't it? Because your emotions, because then you're not like a slave to your emotions, are you?
Well, I think, and from the women that I speak to, most women are generally used to feeling a bit crappy. And we don't know, we're fatigued, we're stressed, most people aren't in touch with their menstrual cycles or their nervous system. So they're not even sure that they are deregulated. All they know is that they're filled with anxiety and overwhelmed, and how they start to pull that apart and remove some of the stress that they don't need.
Oh, yeah. And emotional awareness is the first step. Like I said, because without having that awareness, like for years, I was carrying like all different kinds of emotions, and I didn't even know. And I didn't know that it was affecting my decisions I was making in the future, even though it was things that happened in the past I hadn't processed, so it's affected my future. So our body carries everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was actually looking up some statistics last night before this about the rise of autoimmune diseases. And women are twice as likely to get an autoimmune disease as men. And they're increasing 3 to 9% every year.
No way. And why is that? We're more stressed.
Stress.
Oh, stop. Yeah. That's so scary. That's so scary.
So we're doing what we think is right, but actually we could be harming ourselves at the same time.
But does that mean our bodies can't cope with stress the way men's bodies can? We're made differently or not?
I'm about hormones. So girls now are getting periods earlier than they used to.
Diet. It's the diet.
It's a massive thing. So I don't know if you've seen the Netflix series Live to 100. I'm obsessed with the documentary. And
really? Sounds good.
They look at all the blue zones around the world. and they look at, and stress is a massive, like, these people aren't stressed. They live just steady lives. It's not fast paced. It's not, you know, they enjoy their lives. You know, they have a drink, they have fun, they have community. But if I look at, you know, some of my clients' lives in comparison, you know, it's not normal to stay awake, you know, worrying half the night. It's not normal to only have 4 hours sleep, you know, and what this does to your body over a long period of time.
Yeah, no, you're right. Stress. Even I had to go to doctors before, and they were talking about hormones, and they were saying stress is like the biggest influencer of hormones.
Massively.
And I was so surprised. I didn't even know that. And I was like, I wish more people were aware of that.
Yeah. And so I obviously have a podcast as well, which you were on. And so I've talked a lot to hormonal experts and menopause experts. And again, looking at, you know, if your hormones are out of balance, but equally looking at feminine and masculine energy. So I very much verge on the masculine. And so when I had a coach about 3 or 4 years ago that kept on talking about feminine, and I was just like, I just did not get it. And I just did not get there, because I was always like, my thing was doing.
Doer. I'm a doer. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm just going, okay, but I can't relax. Like I get agitated. But actually slowing down and just honoring myself, honoring my cycles, you know, and living my life with seasons. So rather than always being 100 miles an hour, going, actually, do you know what? It's okay to slow down for a while, and just to
I love that.
Learn the lessons or recoup, in order to almost, you know, tech companies do it, sprints. You know, if you're going to do a project, have that project, but then build in some downtime at the end of that project.
Oh,
where
brilliant.
you break, because then you give your body that chance. But yeah, the going within part is where all of the magic comes, because, you know, we make decisions quite often based on other people's opinions or what we think we should be doing.
Oh yeah.
So whether or not it's a business decision, going, well, that's how this person does it, or this is, you know, this book says to do it this way, but actually going, what feels right to me, and what's right. And, you know, if you're scared, just even working with that emotion, going, okay, you know, that's perfectly normal, but where does that feeling come from? Is it that actually I'm trying to go against what is natural to me, or that actually, you know, it's just normal to, you know, I'm going out of my comfort zone?
Yeah, no, it's so true. And it's so important, isn't it, to get to that point where we actually listen to ourselves, and we can name the emotion and maybe get information from it as well. But also, even when we understand what the emotion is telling us, have the courage to listen to our intuition as well. Because so often, I know it's happened with me, where I felt a certain way about something. And I love what you said about, if it feels right, you know, then it feels right. I mean, I love that. It's so simple and powerful. But like, so many times I've felt something about a situation or somebody, but then other people have said, no, that's wrong. And then I haven't listened to myself. I mean, I don't do it anymore, by the way, because I've done it so many times. I'm like, and even if it doesn't make sense, what I'm saying doesn't make sense. So everybody's like logically saying, but it's not, because this, and this. So I'm like, no, but something is off. Something is off. And then in the end, I turned out to be right, you know? So it's so powerful if we can have the courage. But I think you do need a lot of courage, because maybe when you feel like that, nobody else is feeling the same. So you have to go against everybody else and really trust, like you said, trust yourself.
Trust yourself. But I think that so I call it your spidey senses, and my spidey senses are never wrong.
Oh, really?
And time, but you know, a female intuition is incredible. And you know, to actually go, but once you start to learn to listen to yourself, actually boundaries become a lot clearer. Because
really? Do you think?
Yeah, because you're like, because you know, because you know it feels right to you. So actually, why would you? That, you know, most of the time,
you're right.
Yeah, you're driven by other people's fear and what they would do in their life or their experience. And then going, do you know what? I'm just going to live for me.
Wow. Oh my
And
God, you're
live
right.
your life.
You're right. And it's steps, isn't it? Because the first step, I guess, would be stopping to actually listen to yourself. I mean, there are a few steps, but yeah, that's so powerful.
So I meet a lot of people who, as I say, they're not.
Yeah, who do you, yeah.
Who just, but by listening to others, almost you become resentful because you're not listening. And when you don't listen to yourself, almost sometimes that noise becomes louder and then it almost becomes muted.
Yeah.
And then the negative narrative is there.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Because you haven't listened, you've let yourself down, basically.
Yeah. And that negative narrative also generally comes from ego rather than intuition. So that's not a good place to be making decisions based on your ego.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, so I get really upset with other coaches who almost show a model of what their life is. And it's like, well, this is the life you should be living. And so I say to all of my clients, no, you need to be living your best life.
Wow.
And what your best life is not what my best life is and what not the next person is.
Yeah.
But only you're going to know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. You can help them find out, but it's down to them.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
We're all, it's all individual again, isn't it? We're not supposed to all agree and all want the same things and be the same, are we?
No, but I think we become used to it and we become used to doing what's normal and, you know, what makes us feel accepted. And so I have a lot of clients who, you know, very much buy into the keeping up with the Joneses.
Okay.
And they have everything, but actually they don't, they're lost. And they're like, that sense of emptiness within them.
Yes.
And without looking for purpose and actually discovering what makes you happy, that feeling of emptiness is always going to be there.
Oh, yeah. And that's something you cannot go searching for, isn't it? You cannot. And you might find temporary solutions that you think are masking that feeling, but it will always come back. You have to, like you said, you have to go within. You have to seek the answers within and be prepared to feel uncomfortable as well. And it could be scary. Like sometimes going within is scary. So, you know.
Yeah, but as I say, I think it comes down to the trusting. So once you start to go within and you start to make these decisions and the magic starts to happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's like living more and more like that and just going, and I kind of say this to a lot of people, it's not your job to, you know, for anyone else to get you. If you're living your best life and you're happy and you're fulfilled, it doesn't matter what other people think.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because you're valid, because you've got to that point where you're validating yourself, you're enough for yourself. Yeah, that's a very powerful place to be, I think.
But I think we should all be doing regular stress tests.
And so how do we do this? How do we do this regular stress?
You know, so actually sitting down and going, okay, on a regular basis, how do I feel? You know, when am I most stressed? And what is in my life at the moment that doesn't need to be there, that necessarily isn't serving me, or, you know, because lots of us are in very fortunate positions. We have enough. But I don't know the point where we realize that like enough wasn't enough, that we're always chasing this more. And so that might mean, you know, with a client, designing a life that actually suits them and fits around their family and what their life is. So, you know, if somebody is very lucky that they don't have to work full time, putting that added pressure into their life, if they don't need to do it, will only bring stress if money isn't the issue. But I find that lots of the clients that I work with almost feel that they need to go back to work to feel validated and to feel that they have a place, whether or not it's within themselves because they're used to being high performers and used to achieving, or actually with their husbands.
What do you mean with their husbands?
So the role of a mum isn't necessarily recognised.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you know, that they almost want to go back to work so their husbands validate them and they feel that they're equals within that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, definitely. I mean, there's so many things here. But what would you say to someone who, you know, is feeling really stressed? But you know, sometimes when you're in that state, you know, and you just feel I have to do all of the things. There's nothing I can cut out, and I have to do everything. I just need to get through this. Like
the first thing would be stop, go, you know, walk on a treadmill, go for a walk for 20 minutes, go
break it. Yeah, break
that, and then look at your to-do list and go, is there anything on this to-do list that I can outsource? What can I just take away? What doesn't need to be done today? Because lots of us, the pressure that we feel is pressure that we've put on ourselves.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And
I think
then
you get used to it. You get used to putting pressure on yourself, don't you, as well? It becomes a normal, it's just normal. You're so familiar with it.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, so also recognizing that as parents, our children are young for such a small amount of time. And if we're always chasing, that firstly, our children are learning from us. And secondly, before we know it, they don't really need us anymore. And we've missed that opportunity because actually we haven't taken the time to actually think about what it is that really brings us joy in our lives.
Yeah, no, you're right. So you work, so there's two areas you mentioned about starting a business and
women that are looking to find their purpose. So generally, my clients will start off with the purpose, and then from that actually decide that they want to start a business, and then we take it from there. But actually, the second part of the business is also that I spent 5 months traveling this year. Without
amazing. I've been watching you.
So it was like, how do I manage this? And actually, it was just switching some of my clients. So now, primarily, I work in the US and Canada because
really?
That works around the kids and when they're asleep. And
that's brilliant. Again,
it's that thing of going, well, what was my why? My why is my children. And so if I'm always chasing the things that pull me away from them, and actually getting annoyed at them because I'm distracted and they're just being children wanting my attention, then it's this thing of going, actually, everything, you know, trusting that process of going, you know, my business might take longer to get it to where I want to get it to, but actually for right now, I'm right where I should be, doing what I should be.
Yeah. Acceptance again.
Yeah. Without judgment.
Without judgment. I think, yeah.
Because lots of us, you know, it is those external voices that we hear that, you know, and we are our own worst critics as well. We judge ourselves no matter what we do. And we should celebrate ourselves as much as we celebrate others.
You're right. That's what I always say. Be your own best friend.
Yeah.
And I think, well, like you said, it's working on yourself, isn't it? So it all comes back again to working on yourself.
But working on yourself sometimes can become a full-time job as well, which again, I see that.
Do you tell us about that? Yeah.
So I know people that, you know, this journey, the self-development, that they're just taking what they would have put into work into their exercise routine or into biohacking or into, and it's this, you know, it's still just another form of keeping very busy, adding additional stress, additional pressure.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, you know, so for me, I want to enjoy my life. And
you're right.
That doesn't mean taking anything to an extreme.
Oh, I love that. Extreme. Avoid extremes.
And I think as generally high performers, people that's what they're used to. And
Well, yeah.
you know, and it's always, well, once you finished a project, on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. And so I see this with some of my clients and some of the ladies I speak to, that because sometimes they're lacking in purpose, actually their children become their projects without
Yes. Yes.
even realizing it. And like I said, in Dubai, most people are overscheduled. And then we overschedule our children, not realizing, you know, how important rest is, and
Oh, wow.
how such a small time that they're going to be children. They're not
You're right.
meant to be mini adults from the day they're born.
You're right. You're right. No, it's so important. Rest, and so rest is important, and having fun.
Play is so important, and having fun and just being. But this is where, if you're present, you allow yourself to have fun, because spontaneity gets involved. And whereas, you know, making sure that you just, if you're with your children, or even if you're doing something for yourself, you know, putting away that distraction, putting away your phone, because most of us use our phone for so many different reasons. So whether or not it's to numb an emotion and distract us from how we're feeling, or just take us to a different place, but actually not sitting, you know, just being present and recognizing what that moment might mean for somebody else.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Exactly. It's not just about us, our presence, especially as a parent, your presence. Well, of course, you're modeling.
And it doesn't always have to be huge gestures, you know, cuddling on the sofa, or, you know, just taking that 5 minutes. And again, as parents, that makes you end up feeling great, you know, if you do allow yourself to spend that 5 minutes playing.
You feel better, and then you do something else that makes you feel better. It's like a positive spiral, isn't it?
Yeah, and I just think that, you know, so whether or not it's with our children or ourselves, we're so disconnected. And that has
loneliness is coming in as well. Loneliness.
Yeah, exactly. And because you're going through the motions, and as I say, because you don't stop to ever consider what you're doing, you're on this hamster wheel, just churning. And you know, I'm sure most of us could look at areas in our life that bring us stress and actually say, you know, is there something I could do to reduce that? Or,
I love it.
You know, can I turn off the TV at night to communicate a bit more with my husband? You know, can we spend that time having that meal together, so we've got that connection there? And those little things, as I say, none of those cost any money. You know, most of them don't even really cost any time. But if on a regular basis, we would feel so much better.
Yeah. And when you slow down as well, you realize you actually do have more time than you thought you did, because you can start thinking. I think you free up your brain or something, and you've got more space to actually think properly. So you see things differently as well, don't you?
But I think for a lot of people, like COVID, for example, when most people went into lockdown, you know, lots of people said, I'm never going to be as busy as I was. You know, and I was one of them. Came straight out of lockdown, became really busy. But then I heard from so many people about how their mental health suffered, because when you sometimes switch off the noise and you slow down, you're not necessarily used to it, and it can be an adjustment, but also used to that internal dialogue that
totally.
And so, you know, so whether or not it's watching TV or social media, quite often that can be, you know, to block out some of the negativity that you may feel towards yourself. And so it's just we almost just kick the can down the road.
Oh yeah. And you can't sort of run away forever, can you? That's the thing. It all catches up with you in the end. But no, it's so interesting, Amanda. But no, thank you so much. But we could talk for hours on this topic. But is there anything else you want to say before we go? Like one last thing. And how can people find you?
So you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Amanda Ashworth, or on Instagram, where I'm mainly, which is Dubai Travel Mum. And I would just say, take that 20 minutes, you know, do it for a week and then see how differently you feel, because
Oh,
I
wow.
guarantee that, you know, by taking that 20 minutes to slow down,
Yeah.
and just jotting down what comes out in those 20 minutes.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And maybe, if you don't mind, put your link to Instagram on the post on LinkedIn, and then people can just click it and it'll be easier. And if you have a question that people should ask themselves, maybe you could type that as well.
I will do, yeah. And then with my podcast, Finding You Now,
yes.
which you were on last season, that's going to be coming back next month for season 2. So
maybe you could post a link to that on the comments
do
as well. All your links, basically all your links, and anything else. If you have anything, please post it on that, because I'm sure people will be really interested to find out more.
I would just say that to everybody over the festive period, rather than stressing yourself out, slow down.
I'm going to slow down.
And see where the magic can happen.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Slow down and see where the magic can happen. Thank you so much, Amanda. And thank you so much for everybody who was watching. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments or message Amanda or myself directly. And I will see everybody next week.